I have a couple of interesting stories about trains in Europe. I've collected wine for many years, and I have a very, very good friend in Innsbruck, Austria, who has a cellar at the bottom of an apartment building where I could store wine. And also at this time, you could take a bottle on the plane and bring it over. There was no security about things like this. I believe it has to be before 9/11. So I had met a store manager of a wine shop in Wuppertal, Germany. Wuppertal was the headquarters for ITM Records, where I was recording for them. And so I was in Wuppertal 3 or 4 times a year. And on this one occasion, I remember calling my friend at the wine store. I says, listen, I just brought over something very, very special. I'm on tour. My train will be stopping in Wuppertal, and I can hand you the bottle, and then I'll be back in Wuppertal a couple of weeks later, and we can have a dinner with this wine. And so he was very eager about this. He thought that was a great idea. So I'm on the train, and there the windows don't work, but you'd have to go out the door exit. So the train pulled into Wuppertal. The door is open. I'm looking for my friend. I don't see him. I think there was one window in the restroom that opened up partially. He was a little late. I had this bottle in a bag. And so the train starts moving away from Wuppertal, and I haven't given him the bottle of wine yet. So then I see him. I see him running. And so I'm taking the bottle of wine and I'm holding it outside the window. And he says, drop it. So I let go and he caught it. And we did have the dinner a couple of weeks later. It was a funny incident. There's another incident that happened with me on the trains. I was sitting in the train on my way to Frankfurt. And across from me, there was a gentleman who looked like a trombone case, but we didn't talk the whole time until we got into Frankfurt. So there were several hours that he was reading or I was reading. We just didn't communicate. But finally, as we pulled into Frankfurt, we started talking. And he introduced himself as Albert Mangelsdorf, who's one of the great trombone players, jazz trombone players in the world. And I introduced myself as David Friesen, who knew me about my music and about my playing. And so we both were very surprised and started talking very fast about music and about what we were doing. So he was living in Frankfurt at the time, I believe. And so he got off the train and we said goodbye. And the train starts moving out, and the windows in the car that I was in would roll down all the way. So as the train starts to moving, I hear a sound like a knock, and I look, and there's Albert Mangelsdorf running alongside the train that's moving slowly away from the Frankfurt Bahnhof with the CD. And so I rolled down the window. He says, here's my new CD. I said, great, thank you. Yeah, that was my meeting with Albert, and it was a great meeting. He was one of the great jazz musicians of our time, and he was one of the owners of the Jazz Cellar in Frankfurt, Germany. So there's a couple of train stories you may find interesting, funny, or not.